What I'm going to talk about today is the story of a chubby little 10-year-old girl who didn't know anything about self-confidence or self-belief until she went through this phase in her life. The story starts 4 years ago when I was heading for my first ever squash tournament in a small town in Uttar Pradesh called Dhampur. And I still remember the butterflies I got before my first ever match. And I found out, much to my dismay, that there wasn't any gender division. Hence, my match ended up being against one of the boys native to Dhampur. But when I look back at it now, I'm rather grateful that it turned out to be that way. I'm a national level squash player, and after having played roughly 40 to 50 national tournaments, it doesn't seem like such a big deal. But back then, from my perspective, it was the largest deal of my life. Anyhow, that match went on to become quite a thrilling five-setter. I remember losing the first game and already feeling like it was all over. But my friends, team, and coach, who were all there to support me, gave me the boost I needed to win the second game. This alternative pattern of winning and losing went on to the fifth game, and I remember the scoreline being really close, something around 10-12 or 11-13, although I lost. During the match, my heartbeat wasn't able to come down at all, partly because I was exhausted, having never really put a match that long, especially my first one. And let's just say, I wasn't exactly the fittest player around at the time, but mainly due to the pressure I put on myself to win. All I could think about was the next shot. Voices in my head kept nagging me, saying, "Don't mess it up. What was that shot? Don't you dare lose this point." I know, sounds pretty taxing, right? But looking back at this situation, I realized what my true failure really was. My mindset. Not just during the match, but after the match as well. I should have been proud of myself for taking it to 5 games, for constantly pushing and trying. Although, to be fair, I was only 10, hence this realization only came after I kept competing for 1 or 2 years. And I started to notice a pattern. Almost every match that I lost was due to the same reason that I lost my very first one: my mindset. And when I realized this, I started to pay more attention to my mental needs. I started following inspirational Instagram accounts, started reading quotes on positivity and optimism, and even started watching more sports documentaries and movies, only to realize that 70% of the game depends on how I think. This was probably the biggest learning of my life till now. But I believe that everything happens for a reason, and this did too. And reflecting back on this moment, I understand why it did. Before I continue, I want all of you to go down memory lane and think about that one moment that you feel completely changed you, or changed a massive part of you. This was one of those moments for me, because it helped me to see things from a more disciplined eye, the eye of an athlete. To be very honest, I still haven't mastered the art of having a positive mindset. I don't think anyone here really has, because it's one of the many things that we tend to overlook and underestimate, not realizing it could be the one thing that could change our life, just like I did once. It takes hard work and constant practice to reach there, and I'm still trying to. But I know this much, and that is that the practice and work you put into perfecting your thinking will, at the end, all be worth it. So don't be afraid to fail, to fall, to love, to jump, even if you don't know what will happen next. Just believe. I went from being a doubtful, underconfident girl to a girl who started to believe in herself. She's still not as confident as I'd like her to be, but she changed. If she can change, so can you. Thank you for your time, folks. This is Aahana Singh, signing out.